This is the Ashtāpada Tirtha choḍ paṭa. And what this choḍ paṭa is depicting is Gautam Swami's pilgrimage to the Ashtāpad mountain. And Ashtāpad means the 8 steps. And Gautam Swami is, or was, Mahavira's chief disciple. And so what we have here in the center is the depiction of the mountain of Ashtāpad, which means, of course, 8 steps. And at the top of Ashtāpad is a depiction or images of all 24 of the Jinas, or Tirthankaras, of our era. And so what we have here are the 24 Jina images, sort of under the peak of the mountain, which is shaped like the top of a Jain temple. And as the story goes, Mahavira is having a conversation with Gautam Swami, and he tells Gautam Swami that he can achieve liberation if he can make it all the way to the top of Ashtāpada and worship the Jinas there with his mind. And so he immediately uses his ascetic powers to fly to the mountain. And when he arrives at the base of the mountain, he sees 3 yogis, possibly Hindu yogis, might be not yogis, the way that they're depicted here. And they were worshippers of the god Shiva. But none of them, despite all of their yogic power, can make it above the 3rd step of the mountain. And so Gautam Swami sees them and he makes his way up the mountain, and he's able to get above the 3rd step because he rides the rays of the sun, or he climbs them like ropes. Because his ascetic yogic power is so great, he can make himself as light as the sun's rays. And so he's able to climb the ropes of the sun to make it up to the top to worship the Jinas, which of course, as a monk, he just does mentally, what is known as bhav puja. He has nothing to give because he has no possessions. On his way back down, he sees the yogis who are extremely impressed that he had the ability to get above the 3rd step. And Gautam preaches to them, and each of them has 500 followers. And so one of the things that we see here is they're at the base of the mountain, and Gautam Swami has in his begging bowl a little bit of kheer left over, some rice pudding. And he is able to use his yogic powers once again to share his kheer with all 500 of the yogis, and he converts them all to Jainism there. The other 2 are also converted to Jainism, but a little bit later on in the story. What's really interesting about this paṭa is that we can see kind of the whole world of Jainism depicted in it. Right? We have the sun and the moon depicted above the mountain to give us a sense that this is an eternal truth. We have the Jain temple here, which is a kind of the holy mountain in and of itself, a symbol of transcendence. We have all of the Jinas inside the temple, and we have a real sense that both devotion and yoga go hand in hand. That Gautam Swami's accomplishments as a yogi are only part of the story of what's going to get him to liberation. Actually, performing worship to the images themselves is also the thing that puts him over the top, because he's already a great yogi. It's his devotion that actually gets him the rest of the way there. In showing that the power of Jain yoga is so great that it has even the ability to convert these Shaiva yogis, of course, really attests to just how powerful Jain yoga is. And even more than that, we also have a depiction here of Saraswati, here with 7 heads, who is the goddess of learning, who's, of course, and the Jains consider Saraswati as much of a goddess as Hindus do, and think of her as a goddess of learning, wisdom. And next to her, we have what I think is a Vidyadhara, which is a person who has achieved great powers, especially the ability of flight. And so they're kind of known as semi-divine beings or highly accomplished humans. And I think that the scarf that he's holding that looks like it's all billowing is the depiction here of a Vidyadhara, sort of the iconography. And we have the name Sri Ashtāpada here at the base of the mountain. And so why was this paṭa commissioned? Like, why does it exist? So there is a fast that lay Jains perform known as the Ashtāpada fast, or the 8-step fast. And it's a very rigorous fast in which the person who performs it has no food or water for an entire week. Then on the 8th day, they break their fast by going before the head monk of their order, their gacha, and they take payasam in front of them. The monk doesn't actually give it, right? But they take the payasam or the kheer in front of the monk to break their fast on the 8th day, and that's the only thing they eat on the 8th day. Then they return to sort of normal food on the 9th. And so what we have at the base of this paṭa is an inscription that tells us who did this fast. And so it says, Sao, which stands for Akhan Saubhagyavati, which means a woman whose husband is still alive, and it's unbroken sort of possessor of wifely good luck, Saubhagya. And her name was Rajubai, and she was the wife of a man named Nemichand, and they lived in the neighborhood, I think in Mumbai, of Baldota. And this was for the completion of a fast, Udyapan Nimitte. Mu here, I think, stands for Mumbai. And then we even find out the month and day that it happened, or the day that it happened. So this happened in the year 2017, which was 1960 or 1961. And then it happened on the bright half of the month, the bright fortnight, on the 12th day. And so everyone knows, of course, that this happens in the month of Magh. So that's why they left the month out. So that's why this paṭa was commissioned, for this performance of a heroic fast by a Jain laywoman.